welcome to Your Soul Wisdom, hosted by Yiannah, Ahmohr, Manokas. In each episode, we invite you on a transformative journey delving into the profound mysteries and wisdom of the soul. Join us as we explore a wide array of spiritual topics and sacred practices that nurture and heal the soul, from reincarnation and soul contracts to the enigmatic experiences of womb alchemy and astral travel. Our discussions are designed to enlighten, inspire, and deepen your understanding of your own soul's journey. With Your Soul Wisdom, nothing is off limits. Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a really fun episode. And the thing is, we're here to talk about authenticity. And I think this is something that is so relatable and something that everybody goes through at some point in their life, stepping into the authenticity of really showing up as the true version, the true person of who you really are. And so this has been something that for me has been something that I really stepped into in 2024. I really had to show up as the true authentic version of myself. And what I mean by that is, I feel like I've always been authentic. I feel like I've always been genuine, and you really knew who I was as a person. But there was this huge component to me, which was more on that spiritual end, more in the depth and more into the true version of myself, this huge piece of me that really felt like was more important than anything else. And it was always just shelved because, and I think, growing up, and most people don't talk about spirituality. Most people talk about, surface level stuff, or we all present ourselves in a way that we think we want to be received. This is going to receive the best kind of, traction or first impression. So I'm going to go with that. And we limit ourselves. And so for me in 2024, I really had to make a choice. You read soul contracts now, you do healing sessions. Well, but then everyone in your life knows you as Yiannah, who's this mother and this friend and this like entrepreneur. But that spiritual piece was missing. But that spiritual component is who I am at my core. And I had to make a conscious decision that I couldn't kind of live this double life where I had that spiritual side to me with these people over here, and then this 3D side to me over here. I really had to merge the two. And that was equally exciting and equally scary as shit, because the judgment comes, that people think, what are you, crazy? Or what are you doing? Or what's this thing? It's like almost like people they don't want to give you the value of what it actually holds, right? To be a healer is a beautiful thing. What a beautiful gift to simply be able to help other people, or be an assistant or a role in something that really can help shift people's lives. We do that every day, right? When we talk to people, saying something the right way can absolutely make a world of difference to somebody. And being able to step in your true authenticity is scary, but so exciting and rewarding. And what we know too, even through our frequency work, it's that 7 frequency, right? And that authenticity shows up where now you're vibrating at a different frequency. And some of those people that were in your life before, as you start to show up as your true authentic self, they don't resonate with it. They're like, who are you? I don't know you. Or your vibration is now triggering where they may be stuck in life, where they are not showing up authentically. And all of a sudden you become the problem. You become the person who's changed and the person that they don't know. And there's this energetic mismatch. But the beauty of that is that means now you're energetically vibrating at a space where like-minded people who are also in their authenticity, who are also showing up the way you are, can now connect to you. Right. And so I think authenticity is just such a big topic and shows up differently for everybody. And even us 5 here, we connect on such a beautiful level. But the way we stepped into that authenticity was very different. And some of us are, even for myself, I'm still stepping into it. It's not like one day you're just like there. It's a work in progress. So I would really love to kind of dive in a little bit to kind of see how everyone's journey has been on that, because I think it'll probably be show up 5 different ways, as different as it is, it's also very similar. So
Well, what comes up for me is authenticity already is one of those words like intuition, that it can mean lots of different things.
yeah.
So even what you were talking, how you like before the show, I'm like, no, I've got lots to contribute about authenticity. Yeah, I do. Nothing about like what you're talking about though, which is genuinely about authenticity. What comes up for me with what you said is I know like all of us have been going through lots of change, the 5 of us, and I'm sure everybody that's watching as well. And I think that, it can be like authentically, I'm in between the tide going in and the tide going out. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've got a vague sense of where I'm going, and I've obviously know where I've come from, but I'm authentically in the moment as a sort of hot mess kind of thing, even though I'm not who I am authentically going to be, but I am authentically who I am now, that kind of thing. I don't know. What comes up for me with authenticity is, and I don't notice myself doing this very often, it wouldn't even be once a year, but when I notice that I am literally not being myself and I'm trying to be a radically different version of myself in some situation, I ask myself, what am I scared of? Because that's generally what is driving that. And it's not actually about people pleasing or getting what I want. It's something that I'm scared of, is the thing that will force me into being something different. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, that's what comes up for me at this stage. Lauren?
Well, when you were talking, Rachel, the word that came for me is sort of safety. So it's like there can be a way that we present ourselves that feels more safe because we are, fearful of sort of, the energies around us or how we may feel or whatever that may be. So it's a safety thing for me. And I think probably a total people pleaser, for me, my whole life, absolutely. So for me, I'm always very good at showing up as the person that needs to be in that space at that time, right? And I would say there are good things and bad things about that. The good thing is feel safe and comfortable for me to a certain extent, but also the other person, you can sort of meet them where they're at and they sort of feel safe. So like, there is that. But then at some point in our lives, I think we get to this place where we're like, that's all well and good, but there's something more of me and I'm not honoring that. And so what worked for a period of time no longer works. And I'm really just holding myself back. And I feel like that's the turning point where we go, okay, caution to the wind. I'm going to be myself. Here I am, world. And like Yiannah said, it's a process. But I've got to say, Yiannah, you are like on fire. Seriously. I think you have, you're on the advanced program and you just,
Well,
and I love it.
But we know that I don't do anything slow. It's like, I'm just like, oh, this is my next thing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
you really embraced it. I love it.
Yeah. Because for me, it's like, I'm all in or I'm all out. I can't be like on the fence. I'm not a fence kind of person. I really gravitate one way or the other. And so, I think even like, for example, like the beginning of all this was thanks to you, right? We talked about in our previous episode how your healing sessions really helped me step into that self-worth. You can show up exactly as who you are, and everybody will still love you. And if they don't, that is okay. And that is like a huge component, right? It's part of that safety element. And for me, I really had to make a conscious decision where I wasn't going to tell anybody what I was doing, but I was going to start showing up. And those that were going to be interested were going to mention it to me and acknowledge it. I still have family who I do soul contracts. I do my readings. This is my full-time job. This is it. I no longer have my daycare business. This is it. And I still have family that have never acknowledged it, that act as if it doesn't even exist. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, how do you think I pay my bills? Like, how do you think like I like move in life? but they can't handle that part. And so probably because we're family, they're like, we're just going to let her live it, but we're just going to not acknowledge it. And guess what? 6 months ago or a year ago, that would have devastated me. And I wouldn't have been able to show up like that. And now I'm just like, I love this part of me. I love showing up authentically. And if you can't accept it, we never have to talk about it. Doesn't have to be a thing for you. When you're ready, I'm here. But guess what? When something shows up for you and you're like, oh, why is this playing out in my life? And you want answers. Oh, then it's okay to discuss it, right? It's like when it feels right. Kylie, I'm sure people come to you when they're like, I need some guidance, but they may also not even want to acknowledge or validate spirituality in itself.
Oh,
Do you all the time?
absolutely, because it's convenient, right?
Yes. It's like, oh, all of a sudden you believe
Oh, yeah,
all this stuff.
absolutely. Yeah. But only if it's a one-way street, it's a selfish gain, right? And that is why that's an interesting question, because it's a fine line, right? So I am authentically me, but my spiritual self and how I present my spiritual self is a very different story, right? So am I going to announce to everyone that I'm interacting with, hey, I see dead people? No, because I don't want, there is that line of then, are you coming to me because you think I have some mystical answer to solve your problem versus coming to me to ask me as a girlfriend to girlfriend?
Right.
Right. And then it kind of, and then I give good advice and they're like, oh, that was channeled. And I'm like, no, that was authentically me giving you what I said. That was my magic, I'm not giving them credit. Right. Right. So it is very much a double-edged sword. So.
But I also think Yiannah and Kylie, like, it brings up a point of like, Yiannah, you're just actually appreciating that that's their level of consciousness at this point in time. And you don't need their approval or validation to move forward. So you are being authentically yourself. And I loved it when you said, I don't know if you said it or whether I thought it. Like, it's not like you're like putting it in everyone's faces. Like,
I'll take the credit anyway.
It's like, it's not like I need to go out and go, I'm this and I'm that and I'm that, and like make this announcement. I'm going to live my life as my true authentic self in progress, like, as the artwork or the dance or the symphony that it is. And I'm going to do me, and I'm going to respond to whatever comes into my sphere, but I don't need to go out and go, this is what I'm doing, and get everyone's approval and then do it, right? It's like, you're doing you.
Well, yeah. And I think because a lot of who we are is based on our level of acceptance, which translates to our self-worth. So we value, our self-worth is valued at what you think of me. Well, that's bullshit. That is absolutely incorrect. Your view of me has absolutely zero to do with my self-worth, because I know how fantastic I am. I'm not perfect.
Correct.
I have flaws. I fuck up. I apologize. And I'm aware, and I will correct anything,
But I don't
go ahead.
I don't think that's got anything to sort of do with it. I don't think. So there's something to be said for being unapologetically you. And so I don't throw in, for me, that that I can mess up, that I could get things wrong and all that kind of stuff, because that's nothing to do with who I am and what I do and how I show up in the world.
Well, it's part of the human journey, right? The human journey. Yeah, we all stuff up.
But yeah, it is. And that's what I'm saying. So I don't have to, there's nobody that I feel that I need to apologize to for who I am. I am unapologetically me. And it's really interesting. I didn't really know how I showed up in the world until it was said to me several times quite recently that the fact of how I show up in my work, and I embody all that I do, has given people the permission, in a way, to show up in their own lives like that.
Yes.
and to show up
Mm-hmm.
powerful, to show up strong. Do you know what I mean? To show up embodied. And that really moved me when that was said to me, you know.
You are
Because it
an
also, I
excellent role
think,
model.
oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I absolutely don't give a shit. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Amen.
May it be
can-
for all of
we
us.
can cut that.
No, that's going in
No
the
way.
shorts.
No,
Yeah, that's the
listen.
short.
Absolutely did not give a shit.
That statement, because that is living in your authenticity. That is living
Yeah.
for yourself, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it is.
There
I
is
think
nothing more
because
powerful.
Yeah.
there isn't, and because I always say that when you hide, or when you don't fully step into who you are, then you are shortchanging all the people that are coming into this world to rendezvous with you in order to do the work. And what you then don't do as well is that you don't, in a sense, perfect your craft. You don't do the necessary work that you need to do in order to expand. You don't, because you're constantly trying to keep yourself hidden. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I have family that probably don't know what I do.
That's wild.
Oh, yeah, I have family that probably don't. Do you know what? I was just saying this today, that my kids, I don't think they actually really knew what I do until the podcast.
Yep,
This had
mine's
all been news to
surprised.
my parents, I can tell you that.
It's so funny because Kylie was like, I don't announce what I do. I'm like, this is going on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Right, I know. But have you noticed that my last name's not here? So,
Oh, your name's
come at
not
me.
anyway.
Come find
Isn't
me.
it? Oh, oh my
It keeps on
It doesn't
coming
show
up
up on the
for me.
video,
My
honey.
very non-authentic life on this podcast.
What keeps coming up for me?
But if I was to meet people, just to say, if I was to meet people on the street, like old friends or whatever, new friends, whatever else it is, and they're asking me what I'm doing, this is who I am and this is what I do. When I walked into my last 3D job, they knew almost within a week about me and what I do. And it's a good thing that they did, because I eventually realized the reason why I'd gone into that job wasn't just because I needed to work, was also because they needed to know who I was in order for them to be able to access what it was that I had. Do you know what I mean? And I wasn't afraid to share that. I wasn't afraid to say those things. I never have been. I think that's part and parcel as well of when I spoke, when I did, the podcast on me, that growing up the way that I did, I didn't actually feel very different. So I thought, like I said, everybody was having these conversations. I didn't think they were wild or crazy conversations. I thought they were normal conversations. Obviously, as you get older and things like that, you realize that it's not the case, and it's very, very different for everybody. And what we do is very, very different, or how I see things is very, very different. But I guess I've been fortunate enough that as I've gone through life, because I've gone and done lots of different, say, courses and trainings, to surround myself with people that I could have these conversations with. The only time that I ever had to hide myself and dumb myself down was when I was in a quite a long-term narcissistic relationship. And that was when I had to literally shut down everything and all of me, until one day I looked in the mirror and I didn't even recognize who I was. And not because I was shifting, not because I was changing, and not because another Amanda had turned up in the timeline, but simply because I had literally shut myself down. So I wasn't, and I was literally had just my head above water. But I mean, like for my kids, like I was saying, I was saying that in a jokingly way, that, I'd always bought them spiritual books when they were young to read. One of my sons had difficulty kind of like concentrating, and he was always away with the fairies. He is a fairy. Well, no, I mean, he's an elemental.
Right, you're right.
Do you know what I mean? But and so I used to buy him meditation tapes and stuff like that. And if they were in any way sort of like, going through stuff and they're worrying, I would take them through a meditation and things like that. But as my work is now today and what I do, they don't have a clue. They just trust that mum knows, mum's doing her do. Like with my husband as well. It's just mum's doing her, my wife's just doing her do. And he'll tell everybody, you know, to me that, you know, she's got her own business, runs her own business and stuff like that. How he describes it, I've never really actually asked him. It's just a good question.
Yeah, that's really, I'm interested in knowing that.
I do. Yeah. He's not here, so I can't ask him.
Just directs them to your website.
You know, you know, but it was quite funny though, because the other day my elder said to me, even though we have 5 between us, my elder said to me, you know, Mum, you know, I didn't realize you were so funny. He goes, you're really funny. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I've been listening to your podcast. I was like, wow.
Does he listen? Do your children listen?
Yeah, they do.
You know, I think about one day, I'm like, one day my daughter may actually listen to this, and she'll hear a version of mom and stories that she may never hear. You know what I mean? It'll be new to
100%.
her. And
well, you'll also be 10 years older probably than you are now as well. So you really will be a different person.
Yeah.
Because she'll be hearing historical Yiannah.
Yeah. I love you.
Right.
We all love you, Olivia.
You know, in time.
Yeah, but Kylie, your gifts, I mean, you saw spirits and all sorts of stuff from when you were little. So I guess I'm curious to know how that journey went for you, to where you were able to kind of start sharing it with people or be open about it, because that's not something that's like, oh, I'm an artist and I draw really beautiful paintings. It's something where people are like, what the heck are you talking about? You know, it's deep and it could be scary. So for you, what was that journey like?
So for me, I have to go back to my past life. So I was a witch who was burned at the stake.
Oh, okay.
For being open, right? So I've got some trauma. And my husband was actually the one that... wound. Yeah, exactly. And my husband now was my husband at the time that threw me into the fire. Like he was one who persecuted me, right?
So very passionate relationship.
Oh, lots of fire, right? And
it's very sexy.
I know. There you go. And so I'm already like messed up coming into this life. And then I get into this life, and then my grandma at like freaking 10 years old is like, oh, you need to get an exorcism because when we don't talk about that stuff in this very religious house, right? And then it was just like constant, like, oh, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. And then it led up until, you know, then my husband and I met, and he's like, oh, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. And then we come into, you know, 10 years of marriage. No, we don't. I don't want my last name associated with this. I don't want it to be linked back to me because I'm a professional and I'm taken very seriously in my job. And then, so then it was only recently, actually, probably in the last year, where finally my husband started to do something he truly loved to do. And he found music and he found his passion, and it reignited him. And he's like, you know what? I'm out here 7 nights a week playing guitar. Who the hell am I to stop you from doing what you love to do? And then it was flipped. And then he started sharing the podcast. And I was like, what happened? And then, you know, like, it was like, you know, what do you tell people? Because people think I'm a stay-at-home mom. Bitch, I work harder than all of you do, right? I'm at home doing my demon slaying, and I'm like, what do you tell people? And he's like, I straight up tell them you're a medium. And I was like, what? What is going on here? And he's like, oh, you can use the last name now. And I'm like, well, I've already established this name, so now I've got to stick with this, right? And then it unlocked a whole level in our whole house, right? So now I've got 3 kids, you know, 11, 9, and 7. We made a deal that 10 was going to be the cutoff. Like at 10, we'll reevaluate what we're going to tell the kids.
Oh, interesting.
So, because I grew up, so this is my thing, right? I grew up in a very religious household. Spirituality is a religious practice in its own way.
Right.
I don't want to ram it down their throat. I want them
Yeah.
to get to a point where they can explore this on their own. If
Correct.
they want to do Judaism, great, go explore that. I don't want you to be in this, right? And then so my eldest, 11, she's out exploring everything else. She loves Jesus, she loves God, she wants to do Ouija. And if you're watching this, like, if you find me, I'm telling you, I know a Ouija, don't do that. Don't do that.
it.
Right? If you go looking for me, because she's like, oh, what authority do you have? And I'm like, I kind of know some things, right? But
Yeah,
the thing
don't
is
do
that
it.
no, don't do it. But the
Not
thing
good.
is that I struggle. So my struggle is, and I would love to hear everyone's feedback on this. What do you tell people you do for a living? Because I'm not sitting at home watching Oprah eating bonbons on the couch. I'm not. And I want to give it its weight, its validation. If this is authentically me, what I'm doing. I also want to not push people away who might want to see me, right?
Right.
So how do you come out in a
Well,
professional sense?
I am at home watching Real Housewives,
Amanda's watching all the things.
Love
Eating
Island,
M&Ms.
and Married at First Sight, and
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
at
I
home
love you.
watching all
Yeah.
the crap TV when I get the opportunity. What do I tell people I do? I tell people that I'm psychic and that I work in the spiritual field. That I'm sort of like a spiritual, I guess, like a spiritual life coach in that sense.
That's what I say. I'm a life coach. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so boring.
It's
I'm
so
sorry to
boring.
any life
Yeah.
coaches out
So
there.
I think, yeah, that's what I say. Or I say, I actually say, I'm a light body right now. I kind of like to say I'm a light body practitioner. And
What's people's reactions to that?
oh, right.
And they go Google it. What is a light body practitioner?
What is that? Yeah. So people will ask, and then people might ask you what that is, and then also but if I say that I do readings, everybody, you'd be surprised. You find so many people that are kind of like oh my goodness, you do readings, stuff like that. Yeah, but it's not all that I do. So people ask me, I say, I don't really, because before I think I used to gauge people in the early days. I used to gauge them to see where they're at. What can I say? Where can I go with this information? Do you know what I mean? Now, like I said, I don't actually. I'm not really fussed. I don't really care. And I don't really care what people think. I mean, look, my kids are old enough now in the sense that they've got like, they've got like boyfriends, girlfriends and stuff like that. They have to tell them what I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think
They need to know who they're marrying into.
Yeah.
I'm sure the girlfriends must love it. If I had a mother-in-law like you, I'd be like, let's fucking do this all day long.
Think that through, Yiannah. Think that through a bit more. It's not all good for the girls.
Well, nobody, do you know what?
Definitely not.
Nobody has. And I think because I am also the kind of person whereby, like you said with the kids, my kids haven't. Somebody asked me today as well, have your kids all done like Lightbody and things like that? No, they haven't. Because I'm for them. I'm for them finding their own way. They know what I do in a sense. They've had divine healing and things like that. But I have all these other sort of, those are not the only like things that I have inside my medicine cabinet. I have other things that they have used throughout time. But I'm not going to get them all to do Lightbody until they're ready, until they say, well, you know what, Mum, well, we have a conversation. They say, do you know what, I think I might want to have a go at that. And I'll say, whenever you're ready, although, say like my daughter, I do think that she needs to do Lightbody because I've seen several things happen with her. And I do think that, I think maybe you're going to need to have Lightbody done so that you're better able to cope with the shifts and the changes that are happening and that are going to come. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to be. I've never been one to sort of. You know what was really interesting? My daughter years ago said to me that she doesn't believe in God, and I said, "What?"
Right.
I said, "What? Where? What does that mean? Where have I gone wrong? What have I done? I've raised a heathen. What have I done?" And she said to me, No, she said to me, she goes, I believe in angels, I believe in fairies, I believe in all those types of things, Mum, she says. But growing up, you never ever spoke to us about God. You spoke to us about angels and things like that. But you never ever spoke to us about God. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I don't think I did. I don't know. I thought that's what I was doing in the
Right.
all of it.
Yeah.
But I guess I wasn't really speaking about God. I mean, I guess, but I've never been a very religious person, and I didn't want them to get trapped into any religion.
Right.
That was the one thing I didn't want for them to be in.
What's really funny is, so I'm very conscious of that too with my daughter, even though she's only 3, right? But so she goes to a Greek Orthodox preschool. They speak Greek and they do prayer every morning. They say, Our Father, like all that stuff. And I'll say with her at home, but I'm also very conscious, like, yes, I want her to walk this beautiful, spiritual, God-inspired path, but how much do you actually implement to where it's not too much for them, where they go the other way? But Kylie, when you say, what do you tell people? I'm now very comfortable. And like when they ask me, I will say that I read the sound frequency of your name, which creates your reality, right? I say like a really brief thing. Most people are intrigued. Then you get the skeptics who are like, I'll look at just their name. And so based on the letters of their name, I'll just give an example of like, here's some things you could be experiencing. They're like, oh, that's generic. Those are the people that are so skeptic that you can give them all the proof. I can give you all the nitty gritty of the energies, and you still will be like, yeah, no, what is it? Cognitive dissonance, right? They can't believe the thing that's right in front of them. But what's really funny is I recently joined a Bible study group with somebody's wife. I went to high school with this guy, and I met his wife like last year or whatever. And so we started talking about Bible study. I'm not religious by any stretch of the imagination, but I really want to understand the Bible, right? Just because I want to get more context. And it was our first Bible study, and everyone's exchanging phone numbers so we could do like a group text. And one of them says, oh, Yiannah, what do you do? And I was like, oh no. I can't tell them
I'm about to blow this out the water.
What I do. But I was on the spot. So I said, oh, I read the sound frequency base of your birth name that creates your reality. And they just went to, okay, is there anybody else's number we didn't get? Like, it was so quickly dismissed.
I don't know what to do with that.
Totally.
I'm going to ignore it.
Right. And then I thought to myself, well, I could easily go into the Bible and share parts with, again, I have not read the whole Bible, but stuff. Yes, there's parts in the Bible that really completely spell out exactly what I do, but they can't even allow
they wouldn't even see it
to understand
see it
or accept even 5% of it. So I'm like, I
it's just not where they're at.
Yeah,
exactly.
They wouldn't even see it. There's nobody standing in any church, in any pulpit that is going to be. Everybody seems to have been brainwashed into one way of interpreting what is in the Bible. And for me, I always say the Bible is a compilation of stories. It's everybody's brought together their little story and put it into the Bible. We don't even know what version we have, because if you look in the Bibles, it will tell you it will tell you King James version, like what we have here, or the Good News version, or whatever. So it's all different versions. A version tells you, from the moment it says a version, it means that there's something that will be edited out, or there's something that's been edited in. So what I know, and I know we're maybe going off topic here, but we like to go off topic here. What I do know is that there are 2 original versions of the Bible as it stands. One is called the OASB Bible, and I think one is called the Maccabee Bible. I don't know if it's called the Maccabee after the Maccabees. I don't know. But these are very old Bibles. I've seen the OASB Bible. I believe it's the OASB Bible. I think it's very rare. You can't find it, but I know I have seen it. I know somebody years ago had this Bible. And that Bible is nothing like the Bible that you read or anybody has seen today. absolutely nothing like it. It will shake you to your very core if you saw the original Bible and what's actually written in it. But not only that, I don't know how people can accept the Bible as it stands when everything about, in a sense, women have been removed. There are books of the women.
I have to talk about that.
Beautiful. So Lauren can speak.
I was about to talk about that.
Oh, that's right.
So there is a book, I think it's called Mary Magdalene Revealed. It's got a red cover and it's like 600 pages. It's amazing, right? I think it's Megan Watterson. I have the audiobook on my phone. I'll double check in a minute. But I mean, she talks about Mary Magdalene and how she had, I believe, gospels, and they were like buried. And when they were found, there were bits redacted or pages torn out, and it's just like the same page on all of them that they've found. But her book is full of stories about women throughout those times and how important they were. And you know, I wish I could quote it more fully, but like, to be honest, it's something that you need to either listen to or read because it is phenomenal.
It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
So I got the right name.
You know, so there's that. So you're not going to find anybody that's saying, I couldn't be for me per se. I understand why you're doing it so that you can get a more broader understanding and a view on, in a sense, all the Hebrew language, I guess, but I couldn't be in the space with people gobbling up the Bible because
gobbling up. I'm just confirming that is the right name. Mary Magdalene Revealed, Megan Watterson. No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you know, for me, it's more about like, for example, I had bought a Bible years ago, and I remember I opened it up and I started reading the first paragraph. And even that first sentence, I was like, what did I just read? I didn't understand it. It's the way it's written, my brain just can't like contextualize it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to join this Bible study where we break down each verse just so I can get an understanding. I don't care what their version is or what their belief and what their reading is. I just want to understand more to give me a deeper picture and a deeper knowing, understanding, whatever it is, of what happened, how things played out, who is who, right? And obviously that also has a huge connection to all the Hebrew understanding too, right? But I'll say this. When I said to them what I do, there was a version of me prior who wouldn't have mentioned it at all. And I knew that while this is not the group to say it, but it's who I am and it's what I do. Right. And I'm passionate about it. And as they were talking, I remember one of the girls, she was like, you know, you guys, I don't even know what I just read. You know, I'm going to have to reread this like 5 times. And I'm like, 11-2. She's got 11-2. I just want to tell her, I know how to help you. You've got an 11-2. Here are some, you know, but I...
you held back, did you?
It literally took every ounce of like everything in my body to not share that, because now, as we know, our work, the more we step into it, it is it is in every cell of our body. It just runs through us. It's not separate from you. It's not something you could shut off. It's always there. And so when you are doing something that you're passionate about and something comes up, of course you're going to want to share what you know or what you have to offer, but obviously understanding, you know, who's in front of you, you're just like, and get out of this group and no one's going to get it anyway.
I'm sure you guys are the same, because for me, I don't feel the need to convert anybody. I don't feel the need to convince anybody. In fact, if you're not into it, please don't book with me. You know, because that's just not my thing. It's like, I'm here, I'm doing my thing, and I'm available for those that, you know, are drawn to it. And I just want to add one thing about kids, because you were speaking about kids earlier. And, you know, you are being who you are and you hold that energy in the space and you're emanating that light, right? So the opportunity is there, right? And it's also by osmosis. Like, I feel like it goes into the people around us. Funny story, like a week or 2 ago, my husband was trying to watch the footy And my son and I are sitting on the couch, and my husband was in the middle,
Your
and my
husband
son's on the
was
other
doing
side
what?
watching the football. Sorry.
Oh, okay. What did you call
Footy,
it?
yeah.
Oh,
You
footy.
need me to translate as
Sorry,
the middle
my
ground.
Australian
Footy
accent.
is football.
Footy, yeah, footy. It's called footy.
But is it football
Yeah.
like I'm throwing a football, or is it like a soccer?
No, soccer.
Not
It's
soccer.
soccer. Okay.
No.
It's not soccer. No, it's not
it's
soccer.
not
Sorry, we call
football?
that.
Well, Australian
Anyway.
footy.
Yeah, Australian footy.
Yeah.
There you go. So I'm glad we got that sorted. So my husband was sitting in the middle of us, and my son was on the side, and my son starts talking. He's like, "Mum," and he's brought this up before. I had a lucid dream last night. And so we're like talking about lucid dreams and reality checks. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to send you this podcast and it's really good. And here's a book. And my husband's like, can we please just watch the footy? So, you know,
Bring you back to reality. Well,
so
reality.
I also have not sort of, I haven't, you know, because I believe, you know, the kids should believe what they want to believe, just as all of you have put so beautifully. But it's just because I am the way I am, they gravitate towards certain things. The energy is there for them to follow. So, you know, my daughter, she receives, she calls them pictures from my dad when she sleeps, right? My dad's passed over. They've always been very connected, although they weren't on the earth at the same time, right? Maybe very briefly, because I found out I was pregnant 4 days after dad's funeral. But you know, so she's, you know, getting, you know, things that make her feel good, pictures from dad, and you know, my son's doing the lucid dream. Like, I haven't talked to them about what I do or told them about, you know, mediumship or you know, the power of your dreams, but it's just coming through them. And because I'm me, like it just comes out.
You know, my sister turned 60 this year, and she had she lives in Australia, and so she had a Zoom call at her 60th party of all the relatives, or that we could like gather together, you know, to all wish her a 60th and stuff like that. And when it came to me to say something, I said I was congratulating her on the year that she'd had, because she's done, you know, her work is just phenomenal, the work she does. You know, she works in the spiritual field, and you know,
we're just waiting for her to come join us, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I need to get on.
What's her name?
Philippa.
Philippa, come on, let's go,
Yeah.
girlfriend. Like, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for you.
Philippa, I should get her on. And so I was congratulating her on what she had achieved in that year. Because she's also creating a book with all her sort of like her spirit art. But not only that, I think she's just recently joined the Psychic College in London here, which has been around for like forever, kind of stuff like that. So she's doing, you know what I mean? And she does a lot of work. She does a lot of like psychic fairs and all that kind of stuff with her work. She's just phenomenal. And so I was saying it, and a couple of the cousins and that picked up on it and said, "Oh, what's that? What's going on? What are you doing?" And so she was like trying to explain it, what she does. And then afterwards she said to me, like, in a way, not in a bad way, but in a nice way, that I'd kind of outed her, but she needed to be outed, she said, you know, kind of like stuff. And I just thought to myself, then I said, you know, I said to her, "Oh, I'm really sorry I outed you. I didn't think it was going to be like a big thing." She goes, no. She goes, "I needed to sort of like stand in my power and just, you know, explain love like that." But in the back of my mind, I thought to myself, how I am, this is me, not her, obviously, because, you know, she's like in her own flow. I thought to myself, I could give a flying toenail what cousins or what anybody else thought or didn't think, or if they thought I was weird. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. But that's just me. Do you know what I mean? I don't care if you think I'm weird. I don't care if you think I'm crazy. I know enough. I've done enough. I've been like her. We've been raised enough. We have seen wild things that like other people haven't seen. So there's nobody that can tell me that I'm off my head. I think I'm pretty sane. I think I'm pretty normal. Do you know what I mean? But I don't, and I know this might sound really quite strange in the fact that I don't care what people think about me. Do you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm doing. But in being like that, I realized, it was said to me just a couple of weeks ago that like I said before, that for me to be like this, I now realize that there are people that are coming up, in a sense, and they're watching me and watching me stand what I believe in my power, stand in my strength, and it's giving them permission to do so as well.
Yes.
Yeah, to
Yes.
come out of hiding,
Yes.
to not be so frightened, to, you know, to have your family think what they want to think, but no, you stand in your power and you keep doing what you're doing and you keep pushing through, because otherwise, if not now, when?
Yes.
And if you don't, where are you going to go?
Yes.
Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Do you know what I mean? So I'm just like, this is what I do.
Yes.
I'm not stopping you from doing what you do. I'm not stopping you from being 3D, you know?
Yeah. But also, when you were saying, what are you going to do? Wait, whose life are you going to be living? It's not yours.
Exactly.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't. I'm not, but I also understand there's a point. I've never had to, in a sense, come out. I've never had to. I've always been doing it. So even when I've been working, like in the 3D world, I have always been, this has always been a sideline, because, you know, it just wasn't enough for me to just go fully out. This is what I'm doing. But I, you know, so I know that I'm in a very different position to most. You know what I mean? For everybody, they've had to get to a point whereby, you know, they've had to transition.
Yeah.
I've never really had to transition in the world. I've just had to transition from this job into this work full time.
Yeah.
That's the only transition that I've ever had to do. So I fully appreciate for those that do have to do that transition, but know that there's life after coming out.
Well, Amanda, it's like you, like Rachel said, you're an excellent role model, but it's like you've got the template of like, this is how it looks. Right. And so when, you know, it's definitely, you know, it had a positive effect on me. So it's like, you know, this is the possibility. This is how it looks. This is how you could feel. This is how you can radiate. It's like, who does not want that?
Yeah.
You know? So
You know
you
what's
provide
obvious
the
to me?
inspiration and the template for people to be able to, you know, for all those 11 twos that need a template.
What's so obvious to me about authenticity, just from listening to us, is that, for want of better words, being inauthentic is withholding, and being with authentic is being everything, is being all of it, that kind of thing.
Doesn't that take you back to Farley's 10 Commandments, though, which I watched 2,000 times on the weekend? So that's the whole bearing false witness thing, right? Like it's, right? So everyone watch Farley's episode, then come back.
Come back. No, but that you know, that is beautiful. That is so beautiful, Rachel, the way that you said that, because it really is about that. That is, I guess, what I was trying to say in the beginning, that when you in hiding, when you don't step into that, when you're not truly and authentically yourself, irrespective and regardless of what other people have or want to say, you know, you do effectively limit what it is that you have to give to the world, because you're not out there honing your craft. And I always say that it's important for you to acknowledge who you are. Do you know what I mean? Acknowledge what you do, own it, step into it, and then you become, as like I've always said, impeccable with the energy that you bring. Own your craft. Do you know what I mean?
And
step into it.
There's that part where it's like, and not that you need to do this, but by you stepping into your authenticity, you give people permission for them to also step into their authenticity. You know, I say this all that time with that 7 frequency. You're either going to trigger the shit out of people, or they're going to look at you and go, wow, I see the work that this person has put in. I see the healing they've done. I see how they're just showing up as their true nature. And that inspires me to do the same, right? We affect people all day long, whether we realize it or not. Yeah. I remember years ago, listening to this one radio show in the morning when I would take my commute to work. And this barista, the Starbucks barista, had called, and she was saying how, you know, she's like, you know, people don't realize as you're in the drive-thru or you're getting your coffee every day, even though there's really like very limited conversation, if you don't show up for like a week, we as the barista, we're like, oh, where has that woman been? We haven't seen her. You're a part of our life, and we
Yeah.
miss you, and we think about you, and we're like, oh, wonder what's going on with them. Are they ever going to come back? Like all that stuff. And nobody stops to think that that barista has made any kind of connection with you, but they have, and we all do. We all think about that random person or somebody who would periodically show up. What's going on with them? Where are they?
Yeah.
Like, how is life?
Yeah.
And so if you're affecting somebody by just being present,
Okay,
then imagine the impact you'll have by being presently, authentically yourself. Right. And the gift that you're giving them, because they can do that for themselves in return. And we don't do it for other people. We do it for ourselves. But man, what a beautiful gift for somebody to say to you, you know what? I saw you show up. I saw you step into who you are. And that encouraged me to do the same. Who doesn't want to hear that? I mean, that is worth it all in itself.
Yeah.
It's blessing.
100%. 100%. I was going to say something else as well, that I think it was about a year ago. A friend that I know, and she had written for one of her what do you call it? In your New Year resolutions, that she was promising herself that she was going to show up for herself every day. And I thought that was such a beautiful thing to say. Do you know what I mean? And another thing that I was going to add, that you really this is all about owning your stuff and owning your power. It's something that Kylie had just said earlier on about, in terms of speaking to a friend, advice and giving it to them. And they said, oh, is that what you've channeled? You say, no, that's me. That's, you know what I mean? That's come through me. I'm that kind of person. And I'm also that kind of mother, whereby even in the work, I would say to people, like, people will bring through, well, they will do something and somebody will go, oh my God, it's just amazing what you've done. And they say, oh, it's nothing to do with me. It's just, I just allow it to come through me. So, and I just think, no. And I say to them, no, that's you. That's yours. You need to own it. Yeah. I'm that mother whereby come Christmas, or I'm not that mother that come Christmas, the Xbox came from Father Christmas and the sock came from me. No, that's not happening. Yeah, Father Christmas is not getting the good stuff. Father Christmas got you the
He's
sock.
bringing the socks.
Oh, yeah.
He's bringing the socks.
He's bringing the socks and the apple.
That's right. He's not taking credit.
Do you know what I mean? Why am I giving the credit of I've worked hard all year to get you this Xbox, and I said, Father Christmas got it. You mad? No, sorry. Me.
That is amazing.
That was
I love that.
I am owning that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not giving that away. I'm not giving that power away, and I just think it's just really important. I think the more of us that step into that, it's a bit like that Marianne Williamson. We've spoke about this before, but that's exactly what that is about. There is nothing great about your greatest fear, our greatest fear. There's nothing great about hiding your light. You know what I mean? And when you come out, you automatically give other people the permission to stand, because you don't know how many people are you're inspiring, and that's what inspiration is. Do you know what I mean? When you're standing in that, when you're owning it. And because once you do that, I think you begin to speak in a different way. You begin to carry yourself in a different way. But if you're hiding, then your language becomes hidden.
You know what?
And people can sense it too.
Oh, and I was just going to say, you know what? That has really triggered me, because I'm okay. I know I'm icy, but it makes me a little bit emotional, and this is my extent of emotion. Okay, I know.
Ooh, this is what it looks like.
I know this is going to be profound. Are you ready, Rachel?
I can't believe that you have exactly the same facial expression, but let's go. Sure.
This is my authentic face. Okay. If the women back in the 50s and 60s, if one of them didn't speak up, which may have led to 3 other women speaking up, which may have led to 10 women speaking up, and then we hit that new age woo-woo in the 90s, right? If not that one woman that didn't step up back then, we wouldn't be in a state now, but we weren't persecuted, and we don't have to hide. We choose to hide because we don't want it to affect other aspects of our life, but we're not ashamed of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a really big difference within my heart space is I'm not ashamed of my gift. I think I'm freaking awesome. But
Yeah.
I
Amen.
get to be selective with what I put out there at the moment in my current state, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My current state, I'm
No,
very
I get
selective
it.
with how I put out there. But
Yeah.
But yeah.
if those women didn't speak up, I wouldn't be where I am today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, which
Honoring
is
the
pretty cool.
gravity of where you've come
Exactly.
from. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Mm.
I just wanted to, there was early on, I had a mentor. Well, I think it was maybe when I started mediumship or, you know, mentoring or something to that effect. And they kind of said to me in the beginning, you don't need to tell anyone what you're doing, because I wasn't confident enough to hold it, where I still could have been sort of knocked around a little bit by, because I'm sensitive, the energies of other people. So, and I didn't, it's interesting because I don't feel like that was hiding, but I feel like that was being conscious of knowing when I was ready to hold it as well. You know, if you're not feeling confident to sort of step out, you know, there might just be a bit more work to do. And I've done tons of work on myself, but, you know, now I feel comfortable. But yeah, it's like, just get comfortable with yourself and then step out, right?
Yeah.
If you're stepping out without being comfortable and you're looking for external validation, you can get knocked off. And that's what, thankfully,
100%.
I avoided with that, because I would have, you know, because then you could stop. Then you could be like, oh, I can't do this, whatever, you know, just get comfortable with yourself and you'll know when it's time to step out.
And the thing is, too, talking about osmosis, the more comfortable you become, that will trickle out into your family and your friends. They will come around eventually, right? And so when it's funny, because I have like a Facebook page, which is really like my family in Greece and all like family, and then some, you know, some friends. And then my Instagram, my higher soul contracts, is all of the work. And then we have your soul wisdom, right? So all the podcast reels. Well, for whatever reason, and I don't know how, but the podcast reels on Instagram get posted on Facebook. I mean, we all see them, right?
Yeah.
And I remember in the beginning, because on Facebook, I don't post any of my work. And I remember going, oh, well, I guess everyone saw it now. It is what it is. Like, I'm not hiding, right?
I love it.
And then there were a few reels, a few episodes out, and my mom calls me one day and she goes, Yiannah. Now, just to remind people, my mother is the only spiritual person in my family, but she still struggles with, you know, is this something we're supposed to be doing? And people in our family and, you know, the Greek culture, they don't really get this, whatever. So she's like, Yiannah, she goes, you know, your podcast had started posting on Facebook, you know, and all this family is reaching out, you know, they want to know if you're psychic and if you do readings, and you know, she's like, you know, I don't know what to tell them. And I go, well, okay, what do you want to tell them? Because I think if I wasn't as strong into who I am now, it would have crumbled me a little bit, and I would have been like, oh, tell them this or that. And I was like, what do you want to tell them? This is on you. Don't put your shit on me. I love you, but don't put your shit on me. And if they say, do they do it? I said to her, direct them to my website. They'll find out exactly what I do. And she goes, okay, you know, I just don't want people to judge. And I said, and if they do, I don't care. And now she is at the point now where she loves it. Like, she, you know, she'll like all the content and she'll comment on it, whatever. And like, she's proud of it. Now, the rest of my family still has to get on board, and that's okay, you know, but I realized that by me being comfortable and very solid in who I am, it's bringing her to that place where she's very comfortable and solid with who I am in this space now. And I just felt such beauty in that moment, because I thought she could have still continued to resist me. She could have just like not acknowledged it at all. She could have told the family who knows what. And instead, she's standing in her power of me as her daughter and who I am. And I just thought that was just so cool, because it was a journey, but that was so cool. Of course, she's like, you know, because our work, right, our sound frequency is based on Hebrew numerology. And so she'll be like, you know, are you going to become a Jewish woman? Like, are you going to convert? And I'm like, Ma, this is my work. Let it like unfold. Like, you know, she's thinking ahead, and she's thinking, how is this impacting us?
Yeah.
And for her to now be in a space where she is just like, allowing me to be me, like unapologetically, is just like, it's such a blessing and such a, like, for anybody who still struggles with that, let that be some kind of inspiration and hope, right? People will come around. They will. They're your family. They love you. They're your close friends. The people who truly love you and ride for you, they will come around. Just give them that time. But it's so important for you to step into that space because, like you say, Amanda, stand in that power. Because if you don't do it, nobody else will do it for you. Nobody. Nobody.
They won't. So I have a question. Kylie, so when you said you were triggered, was that a good trigger or a bad trigger?
No, it was an emotional trigger. Okay. And that's the extent of the emotion.
It was good. It was good.
No,
This
no.
is it. I don't know where my tissues are, okay?
Do you own tissues?
No. But what I meant was that a good stirring of emotion?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Okay.
It's almost like it's my, like, I feel a sense of responsibility now, especially after hearing you explain it, Amanda. Like, I do feel a sense of responsibility for the next generation to honor that and pass it on to, you know, as a woman, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you know, you're making a really good point there, Kylie. It's so easy for us to go, wow, that person is leading by example, but we don't think of ourselves that way. That you are also the example that other people are looking at and being inspired by.
Right.
And it's like, that's such an excellent point. We just don't view ourselves that way. But
it is. And I tell you what, we are all very normal women showing up in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
We just do extraordinary things, you know.
And I feel like people put weight on that external stereotype, right? They either expect you to be, you know, whimsical or to be gothic, you know what I mean? And I'm in the middle.
We're just normal. We're people.
That's it, you know?
But that goes back to, I think it's what Yiannah might have said of like, I stuff up and whatever. People love that because it makes you relatable. And then it makes you like, oh, it's okay if I like stumble a little bit, you know, because it's real and you're human and we're all ordinary, but very extraordinary at the same time. Amanda.
Nice.
Okay, I think this is
oh, sorry, Amanda. I thought Amanda was going to say something.
No.
Oh, okay.
Good
stuff.
Sure? No, I was just saying, I like Lauren always rounds it off. It takes you back. It's like it rounds it off and you think,
Well, since we're all caught up now, Kylie, here's our expectation and weight of the world on you. For you to do it beautiful.
Bring it. I've already had my emotional breakdown, so you can't hurt
my goodness.
Can't hurt me anymore. So I picked Moonology. Don't ask me why. Who was this? Yasmin Boland. So this was interesting. So I pulled these and I'm like, this is so boring. It's protection and boundaries. And what I heard from Spirit is that this is a dual message. You either have protection from your boundaries or your boundaries create your protection. So it's however you choose to see this, interpret it. There you go. I'm not going to lead anyone down a path.
Well, but you're like,
okay.
That, and I'm like, let me.
So for Yiannah.
Okay, let you lead yourself down that path.
It's big. Own it. Where are you taking us, Yiannah?
Because for you to be able to step into your authenticity, you have to also establish those boundaries with other people. I'm not gonna, you can affect me to this level, but you can't overstep. You can't guide me and tell me how I need to show up or who I need to be. This is my boundary where you stay here. I'm going to live my life because I'm not hurting you. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just showing up for myself. And I just have to keep you here so I can do that until I'm solid in that, until I feel protected and solid within myself to continue forward and let you come in a space where you can't rock me.
Boom.
Mic drop.
Yeah. Well,
I like that.
end this now because we're done.
Yeah.
That was it.
Bigger. What a team.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you for joining us, everybody, today. If you're interested in booking a reading, a healing, a guided meditation session, or if you have a question for Rachel, simply come to our website, yoursoulwisdomshow.com. Come say hello. Come visit us. We're here for it all. Thank you for allowing us to create this beautiful space. And we hope that you have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.